Hello and welcome to Daily Prayer today for Monday, February 3rd, 2020. Glad that you are with me today. Today we are uniting in reading the daily lectionary readings from the Reformed Common Lectionary using the NRSV. Our liturgy comes from the Book of Common Worship of the Presbyterian Church USA 2018 edition. So let's go ahead and get started. O Lord, open my lips, and my mouth shall proclaim your praise. You created the day and the night, O God. You set the sun and the moon in their places. You set the limits of the earth. You made summer and winter. The Lord be with you, and also with you. Let us give thanks to the Lord our God. It is right to give our thanks and praise. Merciful God, we give thanks that through the gift of our baptism, you offer the forgiveness of sin and wash us clean from all evil. By the power of your Holy Spirit, renew our lives and make us worthy to enter into your eternal sanctuary. Through Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen. Our readings today are Psalm 62 and 145, Genesis 19, 1 through 29, Hebrews 11, 1 through 12, and John 6, 27 through 40. Listen for God's word to speak to you. Psalm 62. For God alone my soul waits in silence. From him comes my salvation. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall never be shaken. How long will you assail a person? Will you batter your victim, all of you, as you would a leaning wall, a tottering fence? Their only plan is to bring down a person of prominence. They take pleasure in falsehood. They bless with their mouths, but inwardly they curse. Selah. For God alone my soul waits in silence, for my hope is from him. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be shaken. On God rests my deliverance and my honor. My mighty rock, my refuge is in God. Trust in him at all times, O people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Selah. Those of lowest estate are but a breath. Those of high estate are a delusion. In the balance they go up. They are together lighter than a breath. Put no confidence in extortion, and set no vain hopes on robbery. If riches increase, do not set your heart on them. Once God has spoken, twice have I heard this, that power belongs to God, and steadfast love belongs to you, O Lord, for you repay to all according to their work. Psalm 145. I will extol you, my God and King, and bless your name forever and ever. Every day I will bless you and praise your name forever and ever. Great is the Lord and greatly to be praised. His greatness is unsearchable. One generation shall laud your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts. On the glorious splendor of your majesty and on your wondrous works I will meditate. The might of your awesome deeds shall be proclaimed, and I will declare your greatness. They shall celebrate the fame of your abundant goodness and shall sing aloud of your righteousness. The Lord is gracious and merciful, slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love. The Lord is good to all, and his compassion is over all that he has made. All your works shall give thanks to you, O Lord, and all of your faithful shall bless you. They shall speak of the glory of your kingdom and tell of your power, to make known to all people your mighty deeds and the glorious splendor of your kingdom. Your kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and your dominion endures throughout all generations. The Lord is faithful in all his words and gracious in all his deeds. The Lord upholds all who are falling and raising up all who are bowed down. The eyes of all look to you, and you give them their food in due season. You open your hand, satisfying the desire of every living thing. The Lord is just in all his ways and kind in all his doings. The Lord is near to all who call on him in truth. He fulfills the desire of all who fear him. He also hears their cry and saves them. The Lord watches over all who love him, but all the wicked he will destroy. My mouth will speak the praise of the Lord, and all flesh will bless his holy name forever and ever. Amen. Genesis 19, 1 through 29. The two angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of Sodom. When Lot saw him, he rose to meet him and bowed down with his face to the ground. He said, "Please, my lord, turn aside to your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet. Then you can rise early and go on your way." They said, "No, we will spend the night in the square." But he urged them strongly, so they turned aside to him and entered his house. And he made them a feast, and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. But before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young and old, all the people to the last man surrounded the house, and they called to Lot, "Where's the man who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we may know them." Lot went out of the door to the men, shut the door behind him, and said, I beg you, brothers, do not act so wickedly. Look, I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Let me bring them out to you, and do to them as you please. Only do nothing to these men, for they have come under the shelter of my roof. But they replied, "Stand back." And they said, "This fellow here came as an alien, and he will play the judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them." Then they pressed hard against the man Lot, and came near the door to break it down. But the men inside reached out their hands and brought Lot into the house with them and shut the door. And they struck with blindness the men who were at the door of the house, both small and great, so that they were unable to find the door. Then the men said to Lot, "Have you anyone else here, sons-in-law, sons, daughters, or anyone you have in the city? Bring them out to the place. For we are about to destroy this place, because the outcry against its people has become great before the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it." So Lot went out and said to his sons-in-law who were to marry his daughters, "Up, get out of this place, for the Lord is about to destroy the city." But he seemed to his sons-in-law to be jesting. When the morning dawned, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Get up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or else you will be consumed in the punishment of the city." But he lingered. So the men seized him and his wife and his 2 daughters by the hand, the Lord being merciful to him, and they brought him out and left him outside the city. When they had brought them outside, they said, "Flee for your life. Do not look back or stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the hills, or else you will be consumed." And Lot said to them, "Oh, no, my lords, your servant has found favor with you, and you have shown me great kindness in saving my life, but I cannot flee to the hills, for fear the disaster will overtake me and I die. Look, that city is near enough to flee to, and it is a little one. Let me escape there. Is it not a little one, and my life will be saved?" He said to him, "Very well, I will grant you this favor too, and I will not overthrow the city of which you have spoken. Hurry, escape there, for I can do nothing until you arrive there." Therefore the city was called Zeor. the sun had risen on the earth when Lot came to Zoar. Then the Lord rained on Sodom and Gomorrah sulfur and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities and what grew on the ground. But Lot's wife behind him looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Abraham went out early in the morning to the place where he had stood before the Lord. And he looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah and toward all the land of the plain, and he saw the smoke of the land going up like the smoke of a furnace. So it was that when God destroyed the cities of the plain, God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow when he overthrew the cities in which Lot had settled. Hebrews 11. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Indeed, by faith our ancestors received approval. By faith we understand that the worlds were prepared by the word of God, so that what is seen was made from things that are not visible. By faith Abel offered to God a more acceptable sacrifice than Cain's. Through this he received approval as righteous, God himself giving approval to his gifts. He died, but through his faith he still speaks. By faith Enoch was taken so that he did not experience death, and he was not found because God had taken him. For it was attested before he was taken away that he had pleased God. And without faith it is impossible to please God, for whoever would approach him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. By faith Noah, warned by God about events as yet unseen, respected the warning and built an ark to save his household. By this he condemned the world and became an heir to the righteousness that is in accordance with faith. By faith Abraham obeyed when he was called to set out to a place that he was to receive as an inheritance, and he set out, not knowing where he was going. By faith he stayed for a time in the land he had been promised, as in a foreign land, living in tents, as did Isaac and Jacob, who were heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked forward to a city that has foundations, whose architect is the builder is God. By faith he received power of procreation, even though he was too old, and Sarah herself was barren, because he considered him faithful who had promised. Therefore, from one person, and this one as good as dead, descendants were born, as many as the stars of heaven, and as innumerable grains of sand by the seashore. And from John chapter 6, verse 27 through 40. Do not work for the food that perishes, but for the food that endures for eternal life, which the Son of Man will give you, for it is on him that God the Father has set his seal. Then they said to him, "What must we do to perform the works of God?" Jesus answered them, "This is the work of God, that you believe in him whom he has sent." So they said to him, "What sign are you going to give us then, so that we may see it and believe you? What work are you performing? Our ancestors ate the manna in the wilderness, as it is written, he gave them bread from heaven to eat." Then Jesus said to them, "Very truly, I tell you, it was not Moses who gave you the bread from heaven, but was my Father who gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is that which comes down from heaven and gives life to the world." They said to him, "Sir, give us this bread always." Jesus said to them, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. But I said to you that you have seen me, and yet do not believe me. Everything that the Father gives me will come to me, and anyone who comes to me I will never drive away. For I have come down from heaven, not to do my own will, but the will of him who sent me. And this is the will of him who sent me, that I should lose nothing of all that he has given me, but raise it up on the last day. This is indeed the will of my Father, that all who see the Son and believe in him may have eternal life, and I will raise them up on the last day. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. All right, some great stuff. This first psalm was wonderful. All sorts of, don't put your trust in princes, but those who just want to tear people down, right? Who do all these things, who tell lies for their own personal gain. I was thinking it's kind of interesting to have this on the day of the Iowa caucus, the first of the primaries. Kind of an interesting thing. It gives us a lot of pause during an election season, that there are some who their platform is to tear others down. Pick which one they might want to tear down, but it's a lot about tearing others down. There are a few that build others up, who seek to find solutions. But there are lots that like to tear things down. But we've got lots of stuff to talk about today. Look that over in light of politics. I think it might be interesting. Anyways, so Genesis, the defeat of Sodom and Gomorrah, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. This is big. So I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but I am going to talk about it. First thing we skipped over, there was a section where God tells Abraham, who, remember, there's the three guests who came to Abraham, and God says, I'm going to do this. I'm going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah because there is such an outcry from these cities for their wickedness. And Abram basically bargains with God, says, if there are 50 righteous people in the town, are you going to destroy the whole town? And then 40, and then 30, and then 20, and then 10, and then I think it ends at 10. And God says, well, if there are 10 righteous people, I won't destroy the whole city. So now we have these angels, these messengers. They come into the city. And we also see the importance of hospitality. Lot sees these men who come into the town, knows what could potentially happen, and probably will happen to them if they stay just in this town square. And so he invites them in, he makes a feast, and the rest of the town gather around. Now, today, in certain circles, you will definitely hear that this is all about sexual sin. And sexual sin is definitely a part of this issue. But historically, you also look, and hospitality has been a major thing. That Lot shows hospitality to these visitors, and the city not only does not want to show hospitality, but in fact wants to abuse them for being different, being new flesh, right? That's a major problem. The sexual sin major problem, some would argue this is because it's homosexuality. And that's, by that very nature, is the egregiousness of the sin. I would argue that the fact that it is a gang rape, or an attempted gang rape by an entire city against two people, might also ramp things up a little bit and put things in a slightly different light. I think to completely equate the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah and things like homosexual marriage, to say that those are exactly the same thing, I think is disingenuous and is doing violence to the text. There's lots of conversation around this issue. I would be very happy to talk with you about it more if you would like to, but I think using Sodom and Gomorrah as a slam dunk against all gays is really problematic. But anyways, this is what happens. They come in, and there's an attempt from this whole town to gang rape these men. And they cause them to have blindness. They say to Lot and his family, God is going to destroy this place. The wickedness of this place is so egregious, not just because of this incident, but obviously for some other things that have been going on. This is a town which seems to have no problem with thinking that this is okay behavior, which tells us a lot about who they are, how they treat others, that sort of thing. And these angels say, well, clearly there are not 10. There's maybe y'all, and we're not so sure about y'all. But because of Abraham, we're going to save you. And so they bring them out. Lot goes and he tries to convince his potential future son-in-laws, and they think he's just joking. They go out and you see Lot's lack of faith, right? They say, the angels say, you need to go up to the hills, get completely away from these cities. And he goes, well, that city's not so big, right? Maybe it's not so bad. He goes to the comfortable thing. He's very much like his grandfather Terah, who was going all the way to Canaan and ended up in Haran. It's that same sort of thing where he kind of goes, I'm going to go to the small city because it's not as bad as the big city. So they say, okay, we'll delay. We won't destroy that city, and we're going to delay destroying Sodom and Gomorrah because of this. Lot leaves with his daughters. His wife turns into a pillar of salt because she looks back and longs for this other lifestyle. And they're destroyed. It is it's a terrible story. It tells us that God takes sin very seriously. What sin is a very hot topic and an argued thing about this particular story. But certainly I think hospitality and treating of others is a major element of this. Absolutely. Hebrews, man, we've gotten to the really great, this is sort of the central heart part of the book of Hebrews. This is beginning this wonderful journey through this hall of heroes, these amazing men and women of faith who God has called. We start with Abel. We start with the creation of the world. We start with Abel, who gave a appropriate sacrifice, and because that was honored, and even though he was killed, even though he is dead, it says he still speaks. By his actions he tells us something. We look at Enoch, who walked with God and was not, who had great faith, and in fact did not die according to the genealogy. We have Noah, who was righteous despite, or the only one righteous in his generation. And God chose him to save, to carry on God's people, and built a boat. And Noah had faith to say, okay, I will make a giant ark and put animals on it, and I will do it. It's his faith that saves him and all of humanity from this catastrophe on the rest of humanity. Abraham, who by faith walked out with the understanding, God says, I'm going to just go to a place that I will show you. And he does. He goes. And by that we see that he is looking for a future country, a different country, not the one that he left. We'll see that in a little bit. But he was willing to go and trust that God would do all of these things. God promised that he would be the father of this great nation, and that God would bless those who bless him and curse those who curse them, that he would have this land and all the nations of the world would be blessed through him. And he believed that those things were possible, even though they were not impossible, right? We're talking about Abraham in the Genesis readings, and he should not have been able to have a child, and yet he believes God that God will actually do that. And so God, spoilers, will give him this miraculous ability to procreate, to have a child with Sarah, despite the fact that they're way too old to be able to do that. And now we will continue on with this wonderful litany of these amazing men and women of faith. In John, we have this crowd coming, and they've followed Jesus. He had fed them across the lake. They tried to make him king. He got out of that. He got across the lake. They've tracked him down. And now they're saying, show us all about this stuff. And he says, when they came to him, he said, you're not following me because you want to listen. You're following me because I fed you, and you want to see signs. And then he tells them, the true followers are the ones who follow me in spirit and truth. They do the things that I do. They do the things that my Father does. Those who the Father draws. All of these sorts of things. And they go, yeah, oh yeah, we will totally believe in you, right? He says, anyone who believes in me will have eternal life. Gospel, there it is. You just have to believe, just like we're seeing in Hebrews. And they say, yeah. Oh, absolutely, we'll believe. But how about a sign? How about a sign to show us, hey, our ancestor gave us food in the desert and bread in the desert. You gave us bread yesterday. How about some bread today? He's like, you don't get it, right? Moses didn't give you bread in the wilderness. God gave you bread in the wilderness. And the bread that God gives you is the miraculous thing that comes down from heaven. For them it was manna. For you, it is me. I am the bread of life. I'm here to give you life. If you believe in me, then you will have eternal life. And they don't get it. It's too simple. It's sometimes we don't get it too. Sometimes we don't get the simplicity and the overwhelming grace of the gospel. And we just kind of say, well, it has to be more. Don't we have to work for it? Don't we have to do something about it? Don't we have to earn that? No, just believe. Just believe. Just believe. Just believe. Just believe. Let's join together in prayer. Satisfy us with your love in the morning, and we will live this day in joy and praise. We praise you, God, our Creator, for your handiwork in shaping and sustaining your wondrous creation. Especially we thank you for the ministry of all the baptized. Those who provide for public safety and well-being. Those with whom we work or share common concerns. Opportunities to share good news with others. The treasure stored in every human life. People of God, for what else do we give thanks? We dare to pray for others, God our Savior, claiming your love in Jesus Christ for the whole world, committing ourselves to care for others in His name. Especially we pray for the church in Asia and the Middle East. Those who seek to save the earth from destruction. Those who work for the benefit of others. Those who cannot work today. All who proclaim your saving love. People of God, for what else do we pray? Lord God, I lift up to you Mike, all of his many health concerns and his ongoing issues. We pray that you would do immeasurably more than we could ask or imagine. Oops. As you cause the sun to rise, O God, bring the light of Christ to dawn in our souls and dispel the shadows of hatred and fear. Give us grace to reflect Christ's glory and let His love show in our deeds, His peace shine in our words, and His healing in our touch. And all may give Him praise now and forever. Amen. Also, lift up the Iowa caucus and that whole process, the beginning of this fairly long process of election and all of the craziness that goes along with it. Now let us continue using the words that Christ taught us, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Now may the God of hope fill us with all joy and peace through the power of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Bless the Lord. The Lord's name be praised. Thank you so much for joining me today for Daily Prayer. Join me tomorrow for some more. Definitely like this video, share it with someone else, subscribe and click the notification button, all the good things that I always ask you to do. Thank you very much. Have a very blessed day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.